And you do that every now and then when you're out and like you're itching to buy something, but it's like, what do I want to, hi Crane, what do I want to buy? You know what? Let me go look at this thing of paints and support this game store. And Crane can scale my chair. No, I don't have any issue with ordering from Amazon. In fact, I have a bunch of wonderful Amazon links on my tools page. Um, that page has basically everything that I work with for the most part. It needs to be updated, but it's got a lot of stuff that I work with. Nothing wrong with Amazon. To me, there's two phases to buying miniature paints, maybe three. I guess the first one is sort of that hesitancy, right? Where it's like, do I want to paint miniatures? What should I buy when I'm not sure if I want to paint miniatures? And usually in those cases, it's like, okay, get one of those paint kits. They're at game stores now. They're really common. I think there's different brands that do them. Comes with a miniature. It's usually a bigger monster, which is easier to paint anyway. And it's going to give you all the paints you need to do it. Not the most efficient way to get paint, but it's a pretty good place to start. And if you buy a box like that for, I don't know, 30, 40 bucks, you've got a night or two or three, however slow you are. If you're slow like me, 3 or 4 nights of painting, and then you get it done, and you can know relatively quickly, do you like this? Do you want to keep doing it? Or if it's not for you, then you don't have to invest a whole lot more money into paints. That's like phase one. I think phase two, I would recommend now it's time to get some sort of set. I think this is true if you're getting craft paints. I go to like Michael's and get like the cheap $2 little bottles. That's what my craft paints are. Also for miniature paints, find something that's going to be your base, right? It's going to give you a good set to work with. It doesn't even really matter how big that set is. You can start with one of the like little 12, 15 pack. You can go crazy and get a larger one. I think that my most recent sort of base pack was the modest speed paints set, not like the big holy cow like 200 paints or whatever, just like the small one. I think it was, still probably 30 paints maybe. When you have a set like that, you're going to be covered for a lot of painting. And now you're in what I consider sort of phase three, or kind of the sweet spot for miniature paints, which is you go to a game store and you're just like, I could use this yellow, and you get like a single little thing for $4 or $5 or $6, depending on the paint that you're getting. And then you go add that to your collection. And you do that every now and then when you're out and like you're itching to buy something, but it's like, what do I want to, hi Crane, what do I want to buy? You know what? Let me go look at this thing of paints and support this game store. And Crane can scale my chair like a cat. I'm a really big fan of the phase three. For phase one of buying a kit, do that at Amazon, do that at a game store, do that wherever you're fine. Phase two, getting a kit or getting a set of paints, same thing. Get it from Amazon, get it from a big box store, get it from a game store, whatever works, totally fine. Phase three, I think when you're buying the individual paints, I would only exclusively do that at my local game stores. Buying individual paints online, it doesn't usually make sense to do in a pinch, but it's always going to be more pricey. It's not going to be worth it in my experience. And it's just a fun way. It's a fun, easy way to support. Like, I've got lots of miniatures. I print my own, but if I go to my local game store, I can usually always get a bottle of paint or two. And then at that point, you're a miniature painter. You've got a collection, and honestly, most people, it'll take a really long time to work through your paints. There's a lot of paint in those little bottles. Even if you feel like you're wasting it, it's still going to take you probably a couple of years to end up like running out of most of your paints. I still am using, I think, like original bottles on like the majority of colors that I have. Now, I'm not a huge, like, I don't paint a lot of stuff, but just in terms of getting into the hobby, I think that's totally fair. No problem, Cecilia. Gibson phase 5. Buy a resin printer, obsessively reprint the same minis over and over again until you perfect the sculpt. True. There are other phases I try to get to a spot that I like and then I just stay there. Like, oh, and then eventually I guess you need to get an airbrush. Paint like that. Spilling paints. Yep. Yep. I've since repainted the wall that I exploded a green ink onto, so I don't know. Sometimes I think I can still see it, but I think it's just other splatter. You good, Crane? You satisfied? You crazy? Yeah, I could do it, but I'm not a fan of doing it. I don't really want to do it. Like I would have to basically be outside, and that's not very convenient. I've got a good setup down here. I'd much rather just find ways to, I mean, it's why I still prefer brush on priming, because I can just sit here and do it and not stop and keep going. Yeah, I used to like I'd get the brush cleaner and maybe I just didn't have the trick down to using them, but it never felt like it to me it feels like, you know, try to have a brush for each purpose. Like my in my case, right? Most of the time that means I have a few brushes, like literally probably four, maybe five that I am like these are my good brushes, and most everything else I'm like, yeah, I need to paint glue on this. That'll work. I just know that I get cheap stuff for the most part and make it work because I chew through them so fast. And that's fine. It's kind of like uh you know, people sometimes people act like a wet palette is like the only way to paint. It's like, well, I've tried like 3 or 4 times and it's never worked for me, so I just stick to my little silicone tray.